Hey, what is up? Welcome the Stoner Story Weekends Special 420 release, Toke Up Ints. You will never guess who this guy got to smoke with. One of the greats is all I will say. By Naughty Girlsked. Okay, so I created a throwaway. One of my friends who is involved asked to remain nameless, so I just decided to keep us all anonymous. I'm sure some people won't believe me and that I'm making this up for karma or attention or whatever, but I swear to you I got incredibly fucking lucky the other day. Fucking unbelievable, man. Fucking Snoop. Snoop. AKA the chillest motherfucker on earth. Bear with me, this is a long one but well worth the read. Okay, so it happened like this. I was out and about for the night, friends and I were at our second bar of the night and decided we didn't really feel like going anywhere else. The place was pretty quiet even though there was a good amount of people there. Wasn't packed or anything, but they seemed to be having a good night. So my two friends and I, how about we call them Jim and John, had been at the bar most of the night. Joking around and just having a chill night out. Eventually we decided to go out for a toke real quick, went to John's Jeep and smoked the bowl in his glove compartment. Didn't get too baked, just got a pleasant buzz going so we could go back to the bar and enjoy the atmosphere. Put in our drops, I waited while Jim and John smoked their cigarettes, and we went back inside. Once we got in we immediately saw that our 3 seats at the bar had been taken. It sucked, but what ya gonna do? We looked around and there was only a booth in the back left corner of the place. Jim wasn't too happy about having to move back there, something about not being able to see a TV properly, but it ended up being the single luckiest thing that's ever happened to any of us. So here we are sitting at this unlit booth in the corner of a quiet yet somehow really enjoyable bar, decently drunk and pleasantly high. We're sitting there shooting the shit and whatnot, when Jim starts to panic a little bit. He says one of us reeks like tree because he got a sudden whiff of it. John and I teased him a tad and he let it go. He's always been a bit of a paranoid one when he's high. He's the one who wanted the anonymity in the first place. Moving on. Maybe like a minute or two later Jim's face goes kinda panicky again when all of a sudden John speaks up and says he smells it too. I'm on the other side of the booth from them, closer to the rest of the bar, and I don't smell anything. They are up against the back left wall of the bar. About maybe 4 feet down that wall there was a door marked employees only. Jim and John were looking kinda foolish sniffing themselves, when I decided to try and be an amateur sleuth. Boy am I fucking glad I did. I decided to do a quick walk by that door and see if I could get a whiff. Sure enough, right outside the door it smelled of some pretty dank shit. It wasn't super obvious, but if you knew the smell you would recognize it. So I finish my walk past and make my way to the bathroom. Do what I got to do, wash my hands and face, walk back to my seat. Again as I walk by the door I can smell the weed. When I get back to our booth John and Jim have stopped sniffing themselves and are talking about the Redskins' potential name change, as Jim is originally from DC and not too happy about it. I sit down and tell them about the employee-only door and Jim and I start to laugh a bit at the prospect of some dumbass employee smoking in their break room just begging to get caught. John on the other hand doesn't laugh. He just gets this contemplative look on his face. He tells us he read on some bar-hopping subreddit that often VIP rooms are hidden by employee-only signs, and might even have a back entrance. Jim and I tease him about it, but he sticks to it. I say that even if it was a VIP lounge why would it smell like tree outside the door? Not like a bar can put itself at risk hosting a smoke fest. Jim agrees with me, but John still believes. The subject eventually dies down. We order new drinks. 10 minutes later we get another whiff of some danky dank. John starts to smile as if that somehow proved he was right. He points out that since he's started paying attention no employees have gone through that door, and he doesn't think any have all night. I jokingly make a bet with him. I tell him fine man, prove it's a VIP lounge and I'll give you all the money in my fucking wallet. The dumbass gets up and walks straight through the door. Jim and I stare, kind of confused. We wait a minute and John doesn't come back. We think he's gotten in trouble so we decide to get up and go try and help his ass. We're kinda nervous to open the door since John just disappeared through it, but for his sake I open it. All I see is a very short, dimly lit hallway with another door at the end of it. Bright green light is bursting out from under the door. At this point I start to believe I just lost 200 some bucks and change. Jim looks like he thinks it's fucking aliens or something. So I walk up and open the door, and godmother ducking, dammit, it is a VIP lounge. The lights on the walls are green, the walls are painted green, and the floors were a bluish color. It was a beautiful place. The color wasn't the first thing I noticed though. It was how smoky that room was. This was definitely a hot box if I ever saw one. I look around and see John waving me over to the only booth with people in it. It was a pretty big booth and there were 4 dudes plus Jonathan. We make our way over, and as I'm maybe 5 feet away I recognize the man sitting next to John. Snoop. Fuck. I start to lose my mind. I don't even know what to say. I almost walk into the table. I'm so starstruck when suddenly Snoop speaks up and in that classically chill Snoop voice says, "Now I think you owe my mans John here a little cash. And by a little, I mean your whole wallet." For a second I panic. I think I'm in trouble and forget I owe John for being right. I think Snoop is trying to rob me or something, but then I finally start to process everything. We're in a hidden VIP lounge at the back of a quietly chill bar that I owe John money for finding, and the person in the lounge is Snoop. Shit. So I process it all and start to laugh. Everyone hears a good laugh at my expense. My nervousness has broken the ice and now I'm given the opportunity to interact with one of my heroes on a normal and friendly level. I sit down and we start to talk. Apparently John walked in and said he smelled the weed, so Snoop invited him over to share. John told him about our bet. Snoop thought it would be funny to make me look bad, and the plan was hatched. We smoked a good bit after that, got high as balls. Not to mention I was already getting high just from the sheer intensity of the hotbox. It was honestly the best time of my life. So maybe after 45 minutes or so Snoop tells me I forgot to hand John my wallet. I realize that's true and immediately apologize and hand it over. Everybody laughs at my expense again, but I'm a good sport about it. I laugh too as it has been a funny course of events. As John takes out all the money and change and starts to put it in his pocket, Snoop turns to John and winks at him. John just smiles like a fool and counts out a little money and hands it to Snoop. I am confused about the whole interaction, so I jokingly ask how much I was sold out for. Snoop looks me dead in the eye and says, "$3.50. Now it was about that time I realized it wasn't Snoop I had been smoking and joking with at all. It wasn't my personal hero. No, it was a 7-story tall creature from the Paleolithic era. I turned to him and I said, "No Loch Ness monster, you can't get no $3.50. I snatched the money from his giant dinosaur hands, punched John in the face for collaborating with such a giant leech, took the rest of my money from John and ran. I lied about John asking for anonymity. It was me. I'm in hiding. Forever fearful that no matter where I go or what I change my name to I won't be able to smoke in peace. No. The Loch Ness monster will forever haunt me, plaguing me in search of my precious $3.50. Thanks for watching. We are releasing new content daily, so be sure to like and subscribe. And blaze up. If Michael Jackson came alive right now, he'd ask you to smoke one for him.